Welcome to the From the 108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure. Beef loaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, My Sock Summer. And your host. He's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom. Terezi E.
Thank you, Cornsey, and welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, beer, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If Beefloaf says allegedly, or that he wrote a blog about that, you drink. If My Sock Summer shows up in the comments, you drink. If I swear or say here's the thing, you drink. And if Alex tells me that we cannot trade for Mike Trout, you drink. And of course, if you tip $1.08, we all drink. Beefloaf, speaking of drinking, what are you drinking, my friend?
Oh, baby, I've been mixing it up lately. You know, I'm usually a wine guy on Thursday. That's rigatoni night usually. But I mixed it up this week because went to Connie's last night with our old man, Mad Max. He came out to dinner with us. You know, our mom's out of town visiting her sister. We took the old man out. And the old man and I both had rigatoni last night. We were at Connie's. So no rigatoni tonight.
You want to double up. You don't want to double up.
I wanted to double up, but I realized I probably shouldn't double up. So okay. I chose not to. So... no red wine tonight, no tequila like last week. I'm gonna go with rosé all day, baby. It's the summer's commencing here, and rosé it's perfect for the summer. So I'm knocking down a bottle of rosé during this show, and I'm really looking forward to it, Treasy. What are you getting down on tonight, my friend?
I'm trying to stay.
I'm the pompous loaf.
You're a fancy boy.
I'm gonna show you guys.
I'm drinking some Makers cask strength. This is a good one. I'm almost done with this bottle. We'll see how it goes tonight. But yeah, it's going down smooth, nice and nice crisp flavor for possibly a short show, possibly a long show. You never know how these are going to go. Not a lot of topics.
Will get you. Well, the whiskey.
Not a lot of
topics,
but a lot to talk about. Not a lot of topics, but a lot to talk about.
That's true. Pinky's up is right, Senior Socks. That's how I like to live. Pinky's
Hell yeah, up. Beef. How you doing tonight, man?
You know what? I'm good. I'm happy to be able to do a show with just you. Fuck My Sock Summer. Guy's taking a day off every other show. I mean, like, what the hell's up with this guy? I almost named the episode "Fuck My Sock Summer." I was thinking that. I was like, what the hell? This guy, he tries to take all the credit for everything, then he never shows up when it's time to actually work. I don't know what his deal is, man. He's got all these vacations. A fucking jet setter over here. Stay-at-home dad jet setter. We know the Beanie Baby money must be going towards this. It's obvious. But
I mean, he's torching that market. I mean, like, it's all kinds of money.
So I figure we'll kick it old school with my banter. I'm going to go with 3 different topics tonight, and I'll see what you think about them, Treasy. So first off, something I really enjoyed on the internet yesterday, our guy from CHGO, Herb Lawrence, decided that he was going to try to outrun Yasmani Grandal's pace to first base. Now, I love this not only because it's a great, fun, original idea. It's bare bones. They're running in a fucking alley. I mean, well, it's the street, but it looks like an alley behind their studios there. They're like, and it's not, they don't have a real cameraman. It's Sean Anderson on his phone fucking chasing Herb down the street during this. And Vinny Duber is also timing it with his phone. Like, this is DIY as it can get. Fucking beautiful. I love it for that reason. I also love it because I may or may not have suggested it. Herb tweeted out, I can beat Yasmani in a race after the postgame on the 27th. I said, time him and then get out on the field and see if you can beat him. There will be a great stunt. And it was a great stunt. And you know what? I'm going to say this, okay? Herb Lawrence has been in the content media game for 20 plus years, okay? But he still realizes that he's working for a startup and he's got to do fun stuff like this and deliver. And the fact that he fell and fucking bit it on the end of it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe that was a real take, and the guy fucking tumbled over, and people were dying laughing and cutting it on the internet.
You can't fake that fall. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Fake that. It was amazing. Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I love that you're taking credit for it because that's what Pompous Loaf does.
Partial credit.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and you know what? It also though it gives you a little bit of an idea, of like. When you look at guys out on the field and you're like, oh my God, this guy's so slow. We talk about Andrew Vaughn all the time with how slow he is. He's probably still faster than all of us, right? I mean, like I can't beat Andrew Vaughn in a foot race. I'm also not a 24-year-old professional athlete, so I get that. But like, yeah, I mean, it puts it in perspective a little bit about how fast the other guys are. You know, I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, people don't have a knowledge but you always see the thing like the challenge. What would be the easiest thing to do in sports? And people are like, "Oh, make a jump shot in the NBA." There's 0% chance you could ever get open enough to receive the ball, and if you did get the ball in your hands, there's no way you get free for a fucking shot. People don't even realize how impossible some of these things are. And like Herb just running that out, like Yasmani got to be the slowest guy in MLB. He was a half second behind Yasmani's pace with his best one. Like, a half second is a lot of time, right? Fucking ridiculous. And not saying there aren't people in the comments right now who could beat Yasmani in a race. That's fine. You got to do all the other shit, though, too. You know, so you're right. It puts it in total perspective. But I love the DIY version of doing that type of stuff. And I appreciate that from someone, you know, our group. We do content kind of like that ourselves. We do goofy shit, and it's funny. People love those weird things on the internet. So kudos to Herb and the whole CHGO team. That was some hilarious shit, and I hope they keep on that tradition of doing goofy stuff. Secondly, tonight, sad note: Paul Sorvino passed away this week.
That sucks.
He had a seminal role in Godfathers. He was Paulie Cicero. He was also, Treasy, if you remember, he was also pretty hilarious in the movie Money Talks with Chris Tucker, Charlie Sheen, and Heather Locklear. He's going
to break James' legs for him.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the rich dad or whatever, and he's so funny. I mean, he's in a million different things, but it brought up something that I've long thought, and I want to get your take on it regarding Paulie Cicero in Goodfellas. Was he a bad Don? Was Paulie Cicero a bad Don? He felt like he was a bad Don. What do you think?
I feel like he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
He was just he didn't pay close attention, and then he ends up with what he ends up with. And like his HR department sucked too. Like you can't put Tommy in a high position in your organization. No. Terrible idea. A lot of bad stuff's gonna happen. And like, how do you not notice that everyone's showing up to work coked out of their minds?
Exactly.
Come on now. Come on now.
Right. Well, they got to be flashing all kinds of extra money too. That of shit you don't even know about. It's like, come on now. You know, Henry's house, the way it looked. Paulie didn't hear about that. Had no idea about that. His head was in the sand the entire time. And the fact that he somehow let Jimmy get away with whacking out all those underlings after the Lufthansa heist was ridiculous to me. I felt the whole time like I loved Paulie from the standpoint of like this is one of the first mob bosses you're seeing in a movie. But as you got further back from it, it's like, man, he sucked at that. He belonged in jail because he was so bad.
Do you feel like he was just placed into that position and then he was just like money collector, kind of like
maybe
the fake Don in The Godfather, right? Was that Don Fanucci or what? Not
yeah,
Don
the
Fanucci.
guy, the guy who was pretending to be the black kid who was pretending to be the
he's just collecting money, and then when it comes to something like that, he's got nothing.
Mailman Jack says he could beat Yaz this time running the Beefloaf's basement bathroom with a rush call. You're not invited. The door will be locked. And then White Sox Sal says Sonny Red was a worse Don than Donnie Brasco. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, if we were rating worst Dons in the history of like televised or movie Dons, he'd be at the bottom. He'd be one of the worst ones. But Paulie Cicero's got to be right there. It's got to be close in that one.
Well, also the one that couldn't whack out Steve Martin in My Blue. Oh wait, Paulie Cicero. Never mind. Yeah, terrible.
That's the same guy exactly. All right, last one, and we're going to get to the Pompous Loaf portion of the banter. Because earlier when I took half credit for Herb's thing,
I thought we already did.
No. We're getting to it now. No, that's just true. I mean, that shit was just true. So, NBC Sports Chicago is outwardly trying to big time your boy, Dreesen.
Oh man!
In this best June-July Sox Math video competition, and this isn't the first time they've done it. They did it last year. I had a video on fucking bonkers on Twitter. And the same thing this year, the cold tub video. And even Stoney cracked up and was giving me shit, saying I had shrinkage and stuff and making fun of my Peter and everything. On the live broadcast, he's calling my penis small. And Okay, who else is eliciting that sort of reaction? Nobody. Okay, exactly 0 people. And this is no shade against Pale Hose 05. That's our guy, Mansu Lee, Iowa Sox, Mike Ganella, or this MUF Colin guy. I don't really heard of. But nothing against them. Their videos are fine. There's no problem there. But you know what I think it is? I was upset initially, and I was almost going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe on this one. But I didn't. Okay, I held back. I didn't go off on Twitter. I retweeted people who wanted to vote for me. The thought is this though: they see me like we see White Sox Dave in the 108 tourney. They know I'll run over these motherfuckers. They know they are not in my league when it comes to getting votes out there. It's like Mike McD and Rounders. You put me in that room, cards don't even matter. I'll play it blind. That's how. So they were giving me the utmost respect. Now I appreciate that from a persona perspective, but look, the art is getting disrespected, Treasy. The art is what matters to me. I'm an artist here.
See, I think they went they are crediting you on how popular you are, right? Yeah. In a way. But here's the way that they're doing it, and they're getting what they want, is they figured it would elicit a reaction from you and from people that follow you, and it has, because you're talking about it on our podcast now and giving that thing attention. And that's what they wanted. Jason Benetti's a smart man. You don't go getting signed by every media outlet on the earth all in the same year by not being a smart guy. That's right. He got you.
No, he didn't. No, he did not get me.
He got you.
He did not get me. No, because I did not go off on it.
You're going off on it right now.
No one listens to this podcast. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say in here. This is the trust tree, all right? Everyone, this is just the 108 fans. White Sox Sal says, just admit the video wasn't your best work. It was good work, okay? I don't know what my best work is. I haven't gotten to that level just yet. And Timothy Meyer says, Paulie Cicero is not a good Don, if you know what I mean, Stoney. So he would agree with me. He would agree with me there. Oh, here we go. Finally a drink. Yes. Appreciate that, Gordo. Thank you so much.
Back.
And Roxy's up in there. She says, Beef's chance of winning according to NBC Sports Network, where apparently a small Stoney thinks that beef stick is. Okay, yeah. And White Sox Sal says, beef loaf all the time. Do you know who I am? No, that's Teresi. Teresi's more of a you know who I am kind of guy.
I put the bathrooms in this place.
You did, exactly. Fucking jerks. So how you doing, Treasy?
I'm doing good. I wanted to let you know that I did eat outside a few times this week. It's so nice out. And, with this kind of weather, these beautiful hands, they're fine. They're fine. Yeah. They're ready to tickle the base a little bit, baby, because they feel great after touching normally heated utensils. It was great. But I did something else, Beef, that's on my mind, because today is the 33rd anniversary of the release of Jason Takes Manhattan, Friday the 13th, Part 8.
Wow.
I love this movie. It's so terrible. And you know me, Beef. I like a lot of these terrible horror movies, man. Like, yeah. I enjoy. I posted about Ghoulies earlier. This is my wheelhouse, right? I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you recommended a couple to Bonita Steak, and she no longer trusts your recommendations.
She fucking hated
it. Whatever Uncle Monkey says, we're not doing.
But here's the thing. Beef, let
me drink. Hang on. Go ahead.
Now you've seen a lot of these horror movies, right? You've seen a bunch of terrible ones along the way of watching all these horror movies that you've been watching. I want to know, what's your favorite terrible horror movie, campy horror movie, or even just really bad?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I guess it depends kind of what you like. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is campy now, but it wasn't back then, right? Then when we were the part at the end, the scene at the end is the campiest bullshit you've ever seen in your entire life.
With the mannequin through the window?
Yes, yeah. And then the thing that goes, the rag top that goes back over the top and captures it. Come on now, it's such campy bullshit.
I mean,
I don't know. Something like
I think the later Nightmare on Elm Streets really give into the campiness of it, right? I mean, I'm sure some of the if some of those are in your wheelhouse, I get that. I think, was it Part 3, the Dream Warriors one?
Yeah, that's might be my favorite one.
That one's goddamn ridiculous. It's like Dokken is like the soundtrack. It's like it's a whole thing. Oh yeah, Leprechaun in the Hood.
Says Leprechaun in the Hood. That's a pretty good.
That is a great one.
Right
I see Toxic Avenger in the anything trauma. So there's actually Brian and whoever else is a trauma fan in the comments. So our cousin Mikey, he's a comic book artist,
yeah.
And he lives in Buffalo, and they were filming Poultrygeist in Buffalo, and he's legit in the movie as a big like zombie chicken. No shit, I'm not making this up. That's a real thing. So if you've ever seen Poultrygeist, you've seen our cousin acting in that movie. Oh, Wishmaster's a good one in here. So Comic Punk Guy posted Bad Milo, and he sent me something about that earlier. I watched the trailer for this. It is one of the most ridiculous trailers I've ever seen. It's on my list of something I need to watch. It looks absolutely perfect. Anything Evil Dead, you got me. I'm in. Who else is? Oh, The People Under the Stairs is in here. These are some great ones, man.
You're turning people on now. They need to see Poultrygeist.
Oh yeah, you
should blow it up.
I see Billy Wires has Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Billy. So like the funny thing is, if you are close friends with me, you know that I do not like clowns. I'm not a fan of clowns. There's actually no such thing as clowns. There's just insane people in clown makeup. That's all there is.
Yeah.
And so my mom buys me clown shit for like every holiday. So she bought me Killer Clowns from Outer Space for like Christmas one year. Like she just loves to lean into it, and I appreciate it. But I actually love that movie. I think that movie's awesome. They're in the TV screen, so they can't get me. So I'm all right.
You're safe. It's no problems. Ridiculous.
Well, Beef, I think it's that time of day where I think I need to pay some bills.
Oh, do it.
Hey, me. Pay some bills. Thank you, Self. Hey, it's me, Teresa E. for Mazda of Orland Park. Mazdas are so damn awesome. I bought one myself. So head on over to www.mazdaoforlandpark.com where you can check out their complete lineup of cars for yourself. And be sure to follow Mazda of Orland Park on Twitter @ZoomZoomNation as they give away free tickets and parking to the White Sox games on the reg. Mazda of Orland Park, home of the Zoom Zoom Nation. 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park. 708-444-3200. Zoom Zoom. Yeah.
Wow, Treasy. Greg Miller's going to get on your bad side here. He says Halloween 3.
Halloween 3 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I shit you not.
He's saying it's a campy, goofy movie.
It is goofy. It is goofy. I watch it every Halloween. That's the first movie, like October 1st, I will watch Halloween 3. That movie, I love that movie. And if it wasn't in the Halloween franchise, it would just be a good standalone movie. But people, because it's in the franchise and because they backed off of what they were originally going to do, it's not as popular as it should be. But great film, and I love it. So
I love that you always stand behind Halloween 3. And Halloween 3, to me, absolutely sucks. It's terrible, but I love how the passion that you have behind it. Also, the comments are blowing up. Better ad read than MSS. White Sox House says the central ad read from Treasy is worth money. So they're all up on you. One quick question from our guy Baloney. I love Baloney. Baloney says, does Treasy hate clowns as much as Beef hates horses? I don't hate horses. I just don't think you need horses. Teresa's scared of clowns. I am not scared of horses. Horses are fine, but I just don't. You don't need them for anything. We can't. No one eats them. So like what? And you know what? And we don't use them for transportation. They're just kind of like a, I don't know, vanity thing. I don't know what they are.
Beef. I think if a way to put this is if horses started to dwindle away, you wouldn't really care.
No.
I, on the other hand, with clowns, would like to take a flamethrower to clowns and get rid of them immediately.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I would love to get a Pajamagram sponsorship, man.
That would be great.
I would definitely. I think me and MSS could do that ad read together. I think that would be really, really sensual.
It's
really
extremely
sensual.
horny. And White Sox Sal's trying to say he ate horse in Japan. We know he did not. That's total bullshit.
Was it sushi grade horse though? Because if it's not, I don't care. If it was cooked, I don't want to know about it. All right. Let's get into some White Sox talk, Beef.
Let's do it.
And man, they had quite the series in Colorado. 2 games, about 5 extra base hits in Colorado against the Colorado Rockies.
Exactly.
Let's look at game 1. So game 1, Beef, I'm looking at this game, and here's my problem. They didn't even look good in the win. This is the game they won. They looked bad. If they didn't have those 4 double plays, they lose by a ton. Like they got themselves into tough situations all the time, and got luckily bailed out with double plays in multiple innings. I mean, 4 different innings, obviously. And so I was like, how you only scored 2 runs? How does Marquez have you that fooled all game? Like, they just look terrible. They look they look like they couldn't hit.
You're right. That first game, well, I'll tell you what it is a little bit. When you have a game like that, and I thought the White Sox would do well because they put the ball in play a lot, and in Colorado, that's a great place to put the ball in play a lot. Not so, yes, you hit more home runs in Colorado, but Colorado has vast expansions in the outfield. It's a batting average haven, right? It's a place where you should be able to string together a bunch of hits. The main problem for the White Sox was Andrew Vaughn and Jose Abreu both fucking stunk in game 1. They were awful at the plate, did absolutely nothing. And that hurts when you're trying to string everything together. Even when the tertiary players are stringing it together, when the run producers ain't doing it, you're going to end up with a result like that. I think they had 9 hits or 10 hits or whatever, but just 2 runs. Now, conversely, Treasy, I was incredibly impressed with the defense. And everyone's like, well, we have a solid defensive infield, and they suppressed the fly balls. There was only 3 fly ball outs in that game. And actually, I think at least one of them was a nice running catch by A.J. Pollock. So the defense all around.
But we were all surprised that it happened.
we were shocked. But the thing is, like, when you I haven't seen them play together like that, the infield defense, in a game where I felt like, man, they really won the game. And I think it might be part of it is like, we don't have anyone suppressing fly balls like that and throwing sort of a ton of ground balls. And you weren't expecting Kopech to be the guy in the bullpen, but they did. And so I didn't think they looked as bad as you thought, Treasy, because they played such a nice game on defense, right? It's okay to like steal one like that. It's bizarre in Coors to win a game 2-1 like that, but I was okay with that first game.
Obviously I'm okay with the win, right? I'm going to take the win, but it looked bad. Like it didn't look like a good game to me. Like there was a lot of those moments I was like, they got lucky there, right? I wasn't like, oh, they pitched into that situation, or they pitched out of that situation very well, right? Like it didn't ever feel like that. It just felt like, oh my God, thank God. And like half of these things happened after a mound visit. So it was like, it wasn't going well,
right? Exactly.
Right? Like, so like, I just never felt comfortable in that game. And and definitely not with the bullpen, which I think has been, we'll get into in a second, but that's the thing. I just didn't feel comfortable, and it's Colorado. It's the Rockies. You got to feel like you got to be able to beat that team by 10 runs. You got to be up by 10 runs in the 8th inning. So let's look at game 2 then. Game 2 we'll get to. So before we even get to the bullpen, Beef, 2 extra base hits. They scored like 5 runs, but 2 extra base hits.
Extra base hits. One of them was a hustle double by Abreu. It was a single that it was a bobble, and he hustled and got a hustle double. So 2 extra base hits, but only one was like a legit extra base hit. No pop whatsoever. Nothing.
Just awful. What's the game plan? What's the game plan going into these games? Like they look clueless against these pitchers who are terrible. And so, and then Garcia getting picked off. I mean, it's. I hate to bag on Lurie because, like, it's easy to pick on Lurie.
It's fashionable these days.
In this case, it's just like you're supposed to be the guy, the veteran that you can put into any position. You could just throw him out there because, he knows all of these things. It's just awful. Just awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's upsetting. People say I'm a defender of Lurie Garcia, and I don't know that I'm a defender of him. I just laugh when that's who they all pile on. It's like, this guy is Cliff Livingston, as I said before. But that shit was inexcusable, man. I'm surprised he wasn't pulled from the game right when that happened, right? That's the kind of shit where it's like, what the hell is your head in this game? And what's funny about it is that's such a bad getting picked off, like a career bad getting picked off. Most guys will never in their entire career get picked off in a situation that bad. And then the very next inning, Larry Garcia makes a running catch in the gap in center field and saves 2 runs by doing so. That's the whole Larry Garcia experience. He's terrible, and then he makes some play that you're like, how the hell did Larry Garcia make that play? Now, he's going to still be bad in general overall, but he's going to have that little glimmer of hope where you're like, wait a minute, that was good. That was a good thing. But overall, and then he also later in the game, Treasy, he hit the one ball that went like 1 foot. And he didn't run because he thought it was foul, and it was 1 foot in front of the plate. They just tagged him out. It's a wild game from Larry Garcia.
Just brutal. And Beef, the start of the game with Giolito, he looked horrible at the start of the game. And again to the game plan. The guy's throwing like all off-speed pitches in Colorado where the ball doesn't break. What are you doing?
It was tough. And the velocity was down too, Treasy. The fastball velocity was down from its normal velocity. So I don't know if it's just like, hey, we're in the middle of the season and sometimes you have those dead arms or whatever. He did at least battle back.
He seemingly got his shit together after the first inning and pitched an okay game. But then we get to the bullpen. And let's start by saying a nice thing.
Okay.
Jimmy Lambert has been very good.
There is no doubt.
That is a pleasant surprise that Jimmy Lambert has been very good for this team. And he pitched in both of the games this week. And I feel comfortable when Jimmy Lambert comes into the game, much like I do when Raylo comes into the game. Although now Raylo's on the IL.
He's broken now.
So bullpen is not in great shape. But Kendall Graveman came out and was the guy that I was worried they had signed. It's right after. I mean,
you apologized the night before. You apologized about it.
I apologized for it the other day. So I was like, oh, you know what? I shouldn't have. I was wrong in this case, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, I fucked up.
I was thinking about that, Treasy. The bullpen, and I put this in the agenda. People can't see what's in the agenda, but for this segment, I put the super bullpen can kiss my ass, and they really can. Okay, but I'm gonna lay it out for you the way I think about this. Okay. This isn't a Liam problem, okay? Even though he's blown more saves than you'd like, and he's been pretty hittable lately, okay? This isn't a Joe Kelly problem, even though he's basically been Kelvin Herrera, which you had told me he probably was going to be before the season. This isn't Kendall Graveman problem, even though he sucks on back-to-back days. I don't know if you saw Jim Margulis's column today where he compared when he has more than a day rest or has to go on back-to-back days. He is horrendous on back-to-back days, just absolutely awful. This isn't an Aaron Bummer problem, even though his shoulder is now sawdust. This isn't a Jose Ruiz problem, even though nobody's fooled by his secondaries anymore. This isn't a Raylo problem, although actually Raylo's been terrific, good. This isn't even a Tony La Russa and Ethan Katz problem. As much as the pulling the levers and they're going to get blamed for a lot of it, it's not their problem. This is a fucking Rick Hahn and Chris Getz problem, okay? The good teams develop relievers that they have in the minors that you can just pluck a guy and he comes up and he throws 98 and he gives you 12, 15 innings for a while before you got to shuttle him back down when the next reliever is ready to come up, right? They have this revolving door of guys. The White Sox don't have hardly any of that. You can point out Jimmy Lambert. That's like the only guy that they brought up this year, kind of unexpected guy, and he was a starter. I mean, the guy was a starter.
They were
it's like,
telling us he was going to be a starter forever.
We'll just take the best guy available and we'll throw him in the bullpen and hope it works. And for a miracle, it did actually work. But they're not creating these guys that throw BBs down there. And people will explain, well, they've traded a few of those guys. So what? Everyone does that. Everyone has those guys in trades. You have to be better at creating those guys. I looked up the White Sox bullpen stats because like last year there was stints during the season where you're like, man, the bullpen's struggling for as much as it costs, but they always had really nice stats. Right now, not so much. Per Fangraphs, the White Sox bullpen ERA is 20th in the majors. They're 13th in K rate, so not bad there, but they're 8th worst in walk rate. And win probability added, so this is kind of like the effect on the game, they're 21st in Major League Baseball. So the super bullpen is kind of stunk, kind of overall, and mostly you're getting subpar performances across the pile, kind of with the group, you know. Kendall Graveman's been pretty good, but on the back-to-back days he's been bad. Raylo's been great. Liam even hasn't been quite Liam.
Right.
But the rest of it is it's just brutal. There's nothing to go and reach. Like if you want to go and look at like, oh, okay, who's out there on the White Sox? Like who's left on the the 40 man that you could pull up? I mean, you got like the Yohan Ibar and Anderson Severinos of the world, and like those are not answers. Like you're not gonna Bennett Sousa. You're not bringing those guys up. That's just not happening.
And here's we got to get back to it, right? Like so. We're talking about Hahn, and we're talking about them not being able to develop these guys. They spent all this money on the bullpen. All this money.
Yes.
And when they ask Rick Hahn, hey, what are you looking for in the trade market? Bullpen. I'm looking for bullpen.
It's amazing.
What'd you do? What'd you do with the bullpen? You spent all your money on it.
That's where all the resources are. And there's nothing to even look at. There's not even a glimmer of hope down there in the minors. We're like, oh man, this guy here, let's just bring him up and try it. We got lucky as hell that Tanner Banks of nobody who doesn't throw anything, 30 plus years old, never debuted, was semi-decent. Like you got a miracle there. They're not breeding any of these guys. They're not sort of like cultivating these guys. White Sox Sal's up in the chat. He says, MSS barely writes a blog a month and he can't show up for the podcast. Fire MSS.
No, absolutely
we'll take it
not.
under consideration.
Absolutely not. You know why? That beautiful fucking mustache. I can't get enough.
He did so.
I can't get enough of it, man. You got to get. See, the problem is Sal's so far away he can't get up and smell that mustache. That's not. You'd be
if he could. Yeah, if he can get in there.
I did really see though on the internet. Following My Sox Summer, he is drinking some beers out there, so he might be out of commission for 2-3 weeks now. Having more than one beer in a day. I don't know how he's going to do it.
You never know.
I don't know how he can't handle it anymore.
No, absolutely not.
So, Beef, to sum up, terrible series. You can't. We got split.
1 win at least.
You can't split with Colorado if you're trying to win this. Like I'm not even looking forward to the games this weekend against Oakland, where we should be going like, we are going to beat the shit out of Oakland all weekend and make Treasy some money because he's got that Oakland under for the season.
Yeah,
right. Instead, I'm thinking, who's going to fucking ruin my day one of these days? We're going to lose at least one in horrible fashion, and I can't wait for it.
Shouldn't Oakland be shedding whatever left on the roster that's decent? Like, shouldn't that help us maybe?
You would think, but they might not get rid of it yet. Okay. It might all still be there, and we got to deal with. It's not like there's anything to deal with though. Like
I'm nervous.
Their team is terrible, but like
it's terrible.
They could definitely steal one from us this weekend, and if we lose the series, I'm going into Tuesday saying we should just sell.
No, no, you're not. How dare you?
No, because I want to. I always want to buy.
I know we're going to get into all the buying and selling in a minute, but it occurred to me, Treasy, when I was watching kind of like the marketplace of what's happening, I was thinking, I wonder if there could be a team this year that could do what Slim Mick did in our fantasy football league the one year. We had a 12-team league, 6 teams made the playoffs. Slim Mick was in 5th place or 7th place maybe, and he sold. He sold his entire team. And then he got on a win streak, and he finished 6th, so he was the last playoff spot. And he ran right through the playoffs and won the whole thing. I would love it if an MLB team sold and then fucking won the whole thing, just to show everyone how stupid it is to have like a million playoff teams. Or not stupid, but maybe how wild it is. I don't want to say it's necessarily stupid, but it would be wild if someone did that.
No, we talked a little bit about this on the playback, and I think it was Josh or Jim, I can't remember, but they nailed it who it would be, which would be Boston. If Boston traded Xander Bogaerts, moved Trevor Story over, and then ran through the playoffs, that would be epic shit.
That'd be amazing.
I dislike the Red Sox very much. I'd be rooting for it.
Taco Gladiator, no, this team does not need horses. Horses don't even need to exist. Thank you.
We have one centaur, and that's enough. That's enough. We can't. You don't want to get too many centaurs. They could take over everything. It's a dangerous proposition. Next thing you know, you'll be telling me we should get some clowns on the team. It's going to get scary.
Don't do that.
All right, Beef, it's your turn to pay some bills, buddy.
Let's do it, baby. Subscribe to our YouTube channel If you're watching us on a live stream right now and haven't subscribed, make sure you tickle the undercarriage of that subscribe button and get on board. If you've already subscribed and are watching the show, talking smack about MSS's internet and generally meat gazing at Treasy E and I, please smash that like button in the face. If you are listening on the podcast feed and have never enjoyed the eroticism that is the YouTube version of this show, come to youtube.com/FromThe108 and hit that subscribe button. Our previous goal was 1,000 subscribers. We're currently at 1,100 plus. That's going to allow us to make minimum wage for about 1 hour per month if we do a full podcast schedule. You just can't beat that. So get your friends, your family, your dog, everyone to subscribe and allow the 108 to fulfill the dream of becoming YouTube thousandaires. I love you.
Love it. I love the ad read. And I think whoever did the production on that video should win some kind of award. Whatever they give to commercial awards. I don't know what those are. I didn't watch enough Mad Men to remember what those awards are. So our guest tonight, he's recently been on the Sons of Honarchy podcast. He's also been on CHGO. And you could always find him in Section 108. He's a guy that we've wanted to have on for a long time, and I'm excited to finally have him on. And we're going to talk some interesting stuff tonight because the trade deadline's coming up. Alex Rude, what's up, buddy?
Yes.
Not much. How are you guys doing?
Really
Doing
good,
awesome,
really
man.
good. Awesome to have you on. And we've been trying to figure out a time to have you on, and we thought trade deadline, this is like your specialty, baby. You always got some cool ideas for this, and we figured just spitballing it like this, especially without MSS here to fuck it up, it would be a lot of fun with it for everyone. So I appreciate you joining us.
First things first, you guys spent all that time talking about the Sox Math video, but forgot the biggest snub, our guy Yeah Dog.
Yeah, I mean, Dog's been underwhelming me all year, and even including the 108 tourney, but you're right. His Sox Math video was good. So you're right. I got to give credit where credit's due.
Most Yeah Dog videos look like found footage. And like, so it's. I think that's a little nerve wracking to everybody that they would put it on TV.
True. Can't argue that.
Before we get into this, Sleepy Harold was originally going to join us. He had a conflict. He did tell us to give his biggest and warmest GFY to the entire audience and including the people in the comments. So just so you know that, Sleepy Harold says to go fuck yourselves, and we'll have him on again sometime soon. So thanks.
So yeah, and that's the interesting part because we were going to have Sleepy Harold on to be the guy from Future Sox that was going to tell us who are the prospects that we could possibly trade for these guys that we're going to ask for. And now instead it's going to be us to decide this. And it's always going to be either Lurie Garcia or Andrew Vaughn. There's no in between. I don't know any of the minor league players. So I'm just going to take Gavin Sheets and say probably Gavin Sheets for this guy.
Doubtful.
So to kick it off, we want to get into hitters. We want to go after some hitters first. And we're going to each do one. Alex, I'm going to start with you for this one. So give us the hitter that you want to trade for.
Okay, so be realistic with our farm system. This may not be the sexiest name. I guess it may be sexy to our guy, Sammy Davis Jr. 5000, but my target would be David Peralta. So David Peralta has just looking at his numbers, he kills righties. 504 slugging percentage versus right-handed pitchers. The highest on the White Sox is Andrew Vaughn with 445. So big improvements. He has a 12% barrel rate for the season. Highest on the White Sox, 9%. And 17% over the past month. So 1-6 every time he makes contact. It's a barrel. Also, lowest ground ball rate by far. He only hits ground balls like 32%. The anti-Menachino, for comparison, lowest on the White Sox is everybody's favorite, Gavin Sheets, with a 38% ground ball rate. And it's not like this isn't sustainable. He's actually having the lowest BABIP of his career. And the best part, he's an actual outfielder. So he has 4 points above average this season. The highest on the White Sox is Adam Engel with 1. So I'm all in on David Peralta.
And now Peralta's also in a contract year, right? So
correct.
So this he should be fairly cheap. Like there's not a lot of teams that are going to be banging down the door for David Peralta. And if they are, there's other guys like David Peralta in the league. And a lot of teams are going to go for a flashier outfielder that they can afford with their prospect capital. So I like that one. What do you guys think it's gonna cost for David Peralta? Who are we giving up?
I mean, this feels like to me like a low end arm or low end bat, someone in the bottom 30 or maybe 35 of the prospect range. Do you have anyone in mind, Alex?
Reading back from the draft profiles in 2019, the Diamondbacks really liked Andrew Dahlquist, so you could probably pull this off with a Andrew Dahlquist 1-for-1 deal. So if you need a ride to O'Hare, let me know, Dahlquist.
Alex is ready to pull up and grab.
They thought Dallas Keuchel was a viable pitcher, so they would think Dahlquist is too. So I think that's a reasonable.
Treasy, are you taking that deal? Are you taking Drew Dahlquist? I mean, Drew Dahlquist is struggling. I'm even looking right now on the Fangraphs. If you look at the board, you can pull up whatever the current rankings are, and he has one of the red down arrows, and he's ranked 26 for in Eric Longenhagen's rankings for the White Sox prospects. Are you in with trading Drew Dahlquist?
Yes. Yes, I mean, like, I don't see when he will make it to the major leagues. Like, I don't see a path for that. Like, there's just not. So, like, unless he like converts to a reliever and then is awesome as a reliever, because it's just not happening as a starter. So, like, I liked when they made the pick, and it's like they needed to start getting some of these younger pitchers and make those moves. It's not working out. And if we could flip him for a guy that we could use for half a year, I'll take it.
Steve O is in the comments. He says Dahlquist is an overpay, and I think he's the only one. I mean, so you're all by yourself, though, Steve O.
Who doesn't have a Dahlquist in their farm system already? Yeah, right. Like everyone does. Everyone has that.
And Alex is right. Peralta matches up kind of everything you need with the White Sox, just being an actual real live outfielder who can, like, he improves the defense, he improves the offense. I mean, like, you want to have that kind of dual threat, and outfield's such a need when you have you're putting a bunch of stationary guys out there. So I kind of love it. It's like almost a no-brainer for both teams, right? The Diamondbacks aren't doing anything. They might as well dump this guy.
So for mine, I want to ask you guys, do you want me to give you something that is overly hopeful and probably out of our price range, or something that will make everybody very angry?
Both.
I'm with Alex. Let's do them both.
So I'll do one real quick with the one that people would anger people. Okay. But I was looking around at all the teams and stuff, and I like Josh Harrison, but like I would still love a second baseman. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is pure Kenny Williams giving the empty envelope. Here's nothing. We'll take this guy, and maybe you can keep some of his contract. Javi Baez.
I would love that, just for the chaos.
Now, do you think the Tigers in the position where they would just give away the deal, Alex Rios style?
So I don't know, because like going into this, I thought the Tigers are not going to move much. Right. There's some relievers that are coming towards the end of their contracts. They've got some young guys that are decent and like have some upside. I figured they're like, Baez is in his spot, and I've got these other pieces to surround him, and then I've got some pitching, and then they're like, we're willing to listen on everyone, even Scooble.
They're
and
big
it's like, what?
In the perpetual rebuild.
Right, and it's like, what are you doing? And so that just kind of gave me the inkling of like, maybe they hate that they spent money on this. And maybe they'll just be like, guys, look, we don't want another Cabrera situation where we're paying this guy tens of millions of dollars forever. You just have him. Just have this guy.
Buyer's remorse right out of the gate.
And that fits within the trade capital that we actually have. None.
That's a good approach.
All right, overly optimistic.
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
This guy just came off the IL, I think, actually. But I really like this guy. I think all teams, if this guy is available, there's going to be a lot of bids on him. And it'll be, we missed on Soto, we're going to go after this guy. And that's Brian Reynolds. I think Brian Reynolds is a guy that, like, if you were going to spend extra on a player, like if you were going to send some real prospects out there that we have very few of, Brian Reynolds might be a guy that you would do that for.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem here is he's got a monster amount of control still.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so like,
So
I mean, even if you're the Pirates, you may just decide we'll just build around this guy. We'll just that's Done deal.
But this is more me, not so much the Sox getting Brian Reynolds, but just thinking about what the Pirates are going to do. Because that's interesting to me, is the Pirates have a lot of young guys, a lot of guys with control. And at the beginning of the season, if you remember, we did the over and under bets on season win totals. Yeah. And I went over on the Pirates because I said they don't have anything. They're at the bottom of the rebuild. They're not going to trade anything. The team that they have right now is the team they're going to end the season with maybe out Quintana if he pitches well, which is happening. And it's going to be interesting to see, do they just part with Quintana or do they go a little deeper and take some other guys to facilitate that perpetual rebuild? It's a very interesting scenario for them because their division is not very good and they could try to build a young team up and be good in a few years. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. Like you're right. It is the guy right behind Soto. If a team that missed on Soto was like, or especially if it's the same division, and we got to keep up. We're going to try to keep up, and they want to make a big offer. So that's one where you maybe would listen on him, but you're not looking to like dump him. Like the Nationals want Juan Soto to not be on the roster August 3rd, right?
Right.
The Pirates probably aren't that. They're probably just waiting and seeing. Well, what could happen here?
But if they could get a boatload of prospects and players for him, it could be an interesting scenario.
Yeah. But the thing is, do the White Sox have the prospects for
no.
Reynolds? Because
not really. I mean,
marvelous idea of following a beat reporter from every team, and Craig Mish, I believe, reported during the offseason that the Marlins offered like 3 top 100 prospects for Brian Reynolds, and the Pirates just told him to fuck off.
It's incredible.
Don't think the White Sox have much to give there.
No, Colas and Montgomery ain't going to get it done then. All right.
Oh, Beef. Brian is offering us a drink because he likes our guest selection. He likes Alex Rude. So
I like the selection too.
Yeah, no doubt. We've been wanting to have Alex on. So my guy. So originally, Treasy, I told you I want just any corner outfield guy that could hit for power and get hot for 2 months, right? And so when I started going down my list, I was like, man, these guys are terrible, man. Like, I can't put a Cole Calhoun out here. He's as bad as what we got right now. Like, we got no chance to even get lucky with these guys. So I settled on a guy that's a much better defender. He is having an absolutely horrible year. He's on a horrible team. But
I know who you're going to pick.
But he has a little bit of control, and he has a career WRC plus of 112 against right-handed pitching. Okay, he's not hitting hardly anything well this year. But that's Ramon Laureano. And he's a steroid guy, a PD guy like you love, Teresi. You're a big fan of that. And I looked at him today,
and I just thought, he looks terrible. He looks like he's having a shitty season.
He's having a crappy year on a crappy team, right? And my thought was, if you could, like Alex was talking about, the outfield defense is so bad. If you just threw like a real defender out there in right field, how much of a difference would that make? And then with the upside of potentially he hits for some power, right? And so my thought was, why not try to grab a guy like that? And I'm all for looking. Oh, thank you, Steve-O. Appreciate the drink. I'm looking also at like the window of to when Giolito is a free agent. I know that's a sore subject. He's been struggling a little bit. But like that first window of when Giolito and Grandal become free agents. So he has that 1 extra year control, which I really like. So what do you guys think? Would you be in on this? What do you think this would cost?
It's going to cost very little.
Yeah.
Laureano has been a pain in their ass because of the suspension, and now he's not playing well. I think he was a guy that they thought would come back and they could flip. Now I think they'll just take whatever they can get for him. And the fact that he makes more than $400 a year, that's too much for Oakland to stomach. So I think you could probably get him fairly cheap. I think if we're going around the same or lesser range of Peralta, even though there's more control on Laureano, I think that's possible, because like he's so low on the list of outfielders that are going to be out there this year. I don't see him going for much. I looked at him. I was like, please have good reverse splits or something. Like surprise me, right?
This year he has all bad everything.
Yes. And he's horrible against right-handers. So it's like
this year he has been, but for a career he's been fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
Alex, what do you think? What do you think the market is there?
I think it's pretty good just because of the control there, and you just bet on the upside. So it just like from previous talks with Oakland, like it might cost a lot because they can just hold him and like just wait for him to improve. But I kind of can't blame him for not playing well this year. It must be so depressing being like the one or two guys that they kept this year. They're just playing in front of like 3,000 people every night.
Do you think
him for bad performance this year?
Right, right. Yeah, the environment, right? It got to at least be part of it, you know. But do you think it would work? Gavin Sheets for him straight up. Do you think something like that work, or do you think they would want more than that?
Probably would want more for Gavin Sheets, just because, like, as everybody found out this year, Gavin Sheets is not that guy.
Right.
So, but that could be done with the farm system at least. But that would probably be like their one big move.
Yeah, and it would be a forward-looking move too, like you know. Oh, thank you, Senor Sox. Appreciate the drink.
And yes,
Violet Myers is alive. Still alive, but we I remember her often, so it's good.
Yeah, I would hope he's not that expensive though. I mean, like I feel like Oakland is going to dump a lot of players at this deadline. They might just throw them in the mix and say like, let's get something here too. Because the other thing is you bet on the upside, right? Like the Oakland bets on it and says he's going to have a better second half. And then in the offseason, we can flip him. I don't know.
Like the thing is, the control evaporates though, because
exactly.
Guys on their contract year, you get nothing for those guys. I mean,
right.
Even guys that are good, you don't get shit for. So I kind of wonder. I'm curious, because I think we're at kind of a little disagreement here. I'm curious where that market is. I don't know, but I'd be poking around if I were the White Sox.
Yeah, you definitely call and reach out, but 3.5 years of control, like if they hold them this year or for the offseason or next year's deadline, they probably still get a good return on it.
When he pops back.
Or if the steroids were the only thing keeping him up. So
get him back on the roids, man.
He could use them.
Have a little risk to you. Get the roids back. Cheers, Sal.
Yeah, thank you, Sal. And appreciate you too, Mailman Jack.
Oh yeah, Wally Cleaver is dead. He's unfortunately dead. He died today. But cheers, Jack. All right, let's get into the pitching side of this. And so, Alex, give us a pitcher that you want to go after. It could be a starter or it could be a reliever.
I tried to stay away from the obvious ones here, so I went with Noah Syndergaard. Another one, just because the cost would be pretty low because he has a kind of high salary. His peripherals suck this year. Like the fastball has been down, but the thing is he's turned into a big command pitcher this year. So unlike Stuff, you can rely on the command to stick. Saris had a great article yesterday in The Athletic, just looking at people that could be available at the deadline. He was comparing Stuff and command. Syndergaard by far was the best pitcher available in terms of command. He had a stat, location plus and pitching plus. The location plus was 106.3 and the pitching plus is 103.5. So basically, if you deal for Syndergaard, you're just hoping for another Cueto because he's a 5-pitch pitcher. And he has the upside if the magician that everyone on White Sox Twitter likes to tell us, and Ethan Katz can work his magic. The upside and the stuff is there. And just because he has the playoff experience that Rick Hahn just loves to talk about in his off-season acquisition, so might as well apply it to the deadline.
The hot stove champs. That's right.
Alex, I love it. He's the guy I was talking about a couple weeks ago because he's a guy that I figured could be in the wheelhouse for the Sox because he is paid so much. Right? He's on a 1-year, $21 million contract, I think. So there's still about 10 or so million on that. The Angels would be dying to get rid of that at this point of the season. And I think that for the Sox, like, that's the kind of guy you need, because even though the velocity's down, he's a guy that can get 6-7 innings for you because he's developed into a pitcher as opposed to a fireballer. He's learning now on the fly to pitch. And I think that would be a good guy to have in the rotation. And I think you hit the nail on the head that it's similar to Cueto, where like if a guy can just come out there and throw solid innings, throw the ball over the plate, throw the ball where he wants it to go. That's an asset. And especially if you're going to try and limit Kopech's innings.
I was going to say, I like it because my guy Teresi was talking about it a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't thought of it, and it's kind of a nice outside-the-box idea. However, I hate it because I don't want an average pedestrian pitcher being brought in here because I don't see a spot for that person, okay? I know the limit Kopech's innings, but when I look at these starters right now, I want to see Kopech start. I don't want to see someone else start in that spot. And I think to myself, what we got here, we have a bunch of middle rotation guys and Dylan Cease. All right, so another middle rotation guy to me, just like too many bodies in here. Unless we're kind of guaranteed that, like, okay, one guy's going to stand down and is definitely going to the bullpen and become an asset. If the thought is Michael Kopech is 100% going to go back to being the bullpen guy, and that's the case. But I don't know if I like that from a development standpoint. It's like you're kind of jerking the guy around a little bit. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not feeling any starting pitcher who isn't someone who you would start in game 2 of a playoff game.
But if Ethan Katz is as good as everybody on White Sox Twitter tells us he is, that Syndergaard is that guy.
Yes, I love it. The pitcher whisperer.
I love it.
Bring the pitcher whisperer.
So what will it cost to get a Syndergaard? Now we're taking the whole salary. Let's assume we're taking the whole salary.
Yeah.
What does it cost to get a Syndergaard in here?
Yeah, this is going to cost nothing. I mean, this is going to be like some reliever prospect that hasn't quite made it yet. I mean, this is going to be
You really want to get him just similar to Peralta? Just throw in the other 2019 pitcher draft pick. Just give him Matthew Thompson. They're starting the pitcher. So
here you go, Young.
Got some in the depth chart in the prospect system. Just might as well get rid of both.
I love it. Billy Wires asked us to drink one for John Dinks' condo guest, and we shall do that. That's very sweet of you.
That's not good. But yeah, I agree. I think it's not going to be an expensive trade. Beef, I disagree with you, man. I think, I'll take all the starting pitching I can get. I have no idea who's going to be healthy tomorrow in our starting pitching staff or in our pitching staff at large.
I get the you can never have too much starting pitching, but on August 2nd, 3 p.m. when the trade deadline ends, barring weather, there'll be 60 games left. So that's not a lot of turns through the rotation. And even if you're trying to limit Kopech's innings, I don't know how many starts that is exactly. It's 12 starts a guy, but I assume you're not going to shut Kopech down immediately at that point if you trade for mediocre starter X. Maybe you are. I don't know. It just seems like a weird move to
with this team not taking account for injuries just seems like a big mistake.
That's true, but you're adding excess, and you don't know if you'll have an injury. So let's say you don't have one for 6 weeks or something like that, or even throughout it. Like the usage kind of gets weird. I agree with you, but you'd rather have that depth as guys with options, not a guy who's coming over here getting a bunch of money you had to give assets for, and is like, oh shit, kind of thing. So it's a weird. It's probably just me. It's not you. It's me. Mm-hmm. It's a weird fit for me.
But you're also banking on Lynn and Giolito figuring it out. But at this point, we are not sure those are sure things. So
that's true. But I also don't know. Like, are you gonna let's say you trade for Syndergaard tomorrow? Are you gonna tell Lance Lynn or Lucas Giolito we're skipping you this week?
You're gonna figure it out, or you lose your rotation spot.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, do they got the balls to do that? Like, that's where it kind of was a weird spot for me, you know?
I feel like Tony should have the balls to do that. He's a Hall of Fame manager.
That part of the reason he was brought in, like, have the balls to say things like that.
Yeah, you would think
so. Yeah, you'd be earning.
He has the balls to say, "I'm going to play Lurie Garcia constantly."
Man, legend shots. Okay, all right.
Hey, you know, I'm not taking a shot at legend. I'm taking a shot at Tony. Like, I mean, like
I know
he's got the balls for that. So let's show him.
Let's see it.
Pull out those big, beautiful balls, Tony. All right. Would you guys like me to get a closer or a really cheap bullpen arm?
Rick Hahn is our GM, so closer is going to be the move.
Perfect.
So the guy I was looking at, and again, I think that this team is strangely going to sell a lot of stuff at the deadline, and that is Detroit. I would go after Gregory Soto. He's got some control to him too, and I think, but he's specifically what Hahn's looking for, right? Like this is a guy that excites Rick Hahn. So I would see them going after him and giving what it takes to get him. And the other thing is, you've got 9 games against the Tigers in this stretch. Taking their closer off the team probably helpful.
It's game theory right there. Let's subtract from the teams we're playing the most, so we can try to beat them more easily. I kind of like that.
And we play them more than the Guardians and the Twins, so it works out.
Now Gregory Soto's lefty, right? He's a lefty closer. Okay,
that is correct, and that is what Hahn's looking for, right? A lefty. So
allegedly,
it works out. It works out nicely. I'm not sure what he would cost. I'm not sure what the Tigers would want for him. I would assume it's a little bit expensive, but not like crazy expensive. So I'm wondering if like you could get, like I feel like a guy that would excite Detroit would be like a Yelke Cespedes, and like I don't know if that's the cost.
Go for it.
But I feel like that could work out. Like I feel like that would be a guy that would be like, yes, we want that.
That's the cost. I'd do that.
Yeah, I would too, and they're that could be a good choice because their system seems to be a little adept at bats, right? They got the high end ones with Torkelson and Riley Green, but they don't have kind of the infrastructure behind that. They've kind of got a little more pitch. Actually, they're top heavy completely, but Gregory Soto kind of gives up the home run ball a little bit, doesn't he? Like is he gonna scare me giving up too many homers? This year he's been good, I think.
He's given up 1 home run this year, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. But I think his prior life he's been a little home run prone.
He's fly ball prone, I believe, if I remember correctly. But at the end of the day, I mean, we need to keep adding to this bullpen beef. As many high end relievers as we can get.
Possible. Yeah, that's
the better.
I agree.
Just wait until Rick Hahn throws $300 million at Edwin Diaz this offseason.
Can't wait.
We couldn't afford to go after Juan Soto because not Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, because we needed a closer.
It's a bigger need right now. Liam's contract's almost up.
Man, I'm disappointed in you guys though. I wanted to be able to go after Sam Mole. I just like the name.
I don't even know what a Sam Mole is.
I just like the name Sam Mole. He's like in his 30s, and he's on Oakland. He's not AJ Puck, but he's the other lefty reliever. But he's having a nice year. But yeah, he's like it's the equivalent of what was that dude in Baltimore last year that was like 74 years old and was actually having a good year for the beginning.
He's like the equivalent of Tanner Banks.
He is. He's very Tanner Banks-esque.
We already have our Tanner Banks. We don't need another one. We already have a guy who can't wear a shirt.
What if you could have two? What if you could have two Tanner Banks? Tanner Banks?
I love it. I fucking love it.
Beef, who do you have for your pitcher?
You know what? As I was opining about earlier, I'm not super intrigued with the Jose Quintana or Tyler Mahle types of like mid-rotation fodder. Like I said, we've already got a bunch of mid-rotation guys. And I'm not really counting any of them out. Like, I feel like they're going to have to get better for us to get this thing. So I'm not looking to replace them per se when no one's really hurt at this point, right? It's like in blue chips. When Coach Pete Bell of Western University, he went to his recruiting national recruiting guy and asked him about who's out there. And he said you could throw away the rest of the list. They're all irrelevant except for Butch McRae and Ricky Rowe, right? To me, the starting pitching market is irrelevant except for two guys. And I like one of them a lot better than I like the other one. So I would say Luis Castillo. And can the White Sox even build a deal that would harness a Luis Castillo? Could we even acquire a Luis Castillo?
Beef, the first question I have for you is he as horny as Ricky Rowe? That's my first question
No,
on him.
only My Sox Summer is. My Sox Summer and Ricky Rowe, equal levels of horniness.
Okay. I have no idea how they get this deal done. I think this is getting into the same territory as Juan Soto and Brian Reynolds, where it's like other teams want this, and we can't compete with what other teams have in terms of prospect capital.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, good luck beating out the Yankees and trying to offer for Luis Castillo.
You have to hope that
nothing.
You have to hope
we couldn't say Eloy and Colson Montgomery and plus two more.
Yeah, you have to hope that the Reds have their eyes on a player on our team that is in the major leagues that they really like. And then if you get to that point, you can
The comments are out of control right now. I can't even put most of them up right now.
You can probably, like, let's say they loved Eloy, right? That's your path. Like, you have to find someone that's like that they love this guy,
right?
And the thing that scares me is it's Kopech. It's Kopech
or
every
Kopech,
time.
exactly.
It's Kopech every time.
Okay, fine. If it's Kopech, would you do Luis Castillo for Kopech plus that's not Colson Montgomery?
Probably.
I think you probably do it, right?
Probably have
like
to.
it's going to be Kopech plus Colson plus more.
Plus more, yeah. Yeah,
mean,
I would definitely.
say, even Kopech seems soft because it's probably going to be Vaughn or Cease that they want.
Right. Well, I mean, Cease is too much. Cease seeds a whole team, in my opinion. Like, if you're trading Cease, you're getting some real parts. Like,
if you're trading Cease, you're selling.
Cease is better than Castillo, in my personal opinion. I think of it across. So, like, I think that's too much. That's too heavy. But I see what you're saying there, Alex. Like, it's going to be a big-ish deal to compete with the prospect capital elsewhere.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees will give up, like, for some of these deals. Like, how many major leaguers are the Yankees willing to give from that team?
The thing is, like, with some of the, like, a team like the Yankees, they could give up so much depth. Like, they give a couple good guys and then give, like, three other guys that are better than, everyone but our top five or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they have so much depth there. Like, every time the article comes out with the 40-man crunch, the Yankees always got like 47 motherfuckers for 40-man roster. Like, they can't all fit, right? The Sox are never in that article. The Sox always have some bullshit guy that they add to it, and you're like, why they got this guy on there? Like, just get rid of this guy.
It's the perk of having an actual farm system. You don't have to give off your major league roster like the Sox would need to.
Right. Yep.
I think in most cases, in the cases of Castillo and Soto, well, definitely in the Soto case, they're going to want people off your major league roster. But in the case of Castillo, I could see the Reds trying to turn it around quicker than maybe a lot of the other teams are going to try, and a lot of the other sellers are going to try and do, just because that division just doesn't seem that good. It seems like a winnable division if you could piece it together, which is what worries me about it too, is like they could just hold on to Castillo and like go like, oh, we think we can have a team next year. I'd be surprised if they did that.
Yeah, they're not.
But
that's not happening.
But they could even do it just to drive up the price and say like, yeah, we're willing to stick with this guy,
and then pray he doesn't get hurt in the last 2 months of the season. Like,
no. I mean, like, and still trade him like right at the end. Just to drive up the price. But like they do have that in their back pocket to say like, our division sucks. We think we could take this division next year. So maybe we just don't even trade them to you. Which is helpful to a team if they're trying to negotiate a guy that they have control over.
Exactly. And just in that division, like the Cardinals can counter with, we have 7 top 100 prospects. We'll just go get Soto instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably happening right now while we're doing this podcast. I haven't even checked.
What's that tweeted?
They're getting Gregory Soto, though, and they're ruining my trade idea.
Let me look and see if there's any Jeff Passan updates. I got to just double check. Okay, no, we're good right now.
All right. Let's do the wild card now. Let's get a wild card here. It could be anyone you want.
It can be anyone you want, but don't let it be Tyler Naquin because he was just traded to the Mets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. The lefty outfielder market is moving.
It's moving. Finally, a market's moving. Thank goodness.
Well, now we got an idea of the price for a Peralta. We're getting an idea there. So
That's right.
So we'll find out what that trade was for. But Alex, give me your wild card.
My wild card isn't even a player, but rather whoever is in charge of the cheating department of the San Francisco Giants. You tell me that roster they had last year is 107 win worthy, that Luis Gonzalez is 120 WRC plus player, that your mean Mercedes is 118 plus WRC plus player. That's impossible. They've got to be cheating, and I want them working for us.
Yes, I love it.
Now, Alex, are you willing to give up the sod father to get him?
Yes.
He's past his prime. I agree with Alex. It was time to move the Sodfather in 2019.
He probably
We're coming
has
to
a
the end of
son
that.
ready to replace him.
Exactly. That's the way the Sox do anyway. Nepotism hire. Let's get the Sodfather out of here. 100%.
Well, the sod father is a nepotism hire, right? Like, it wasn't?
Yeah, it was his dad, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
They got all Sod lineage, man. That's weird.
The sod
It's
dynasty.
impressive, but love it.
I really like it because I don't know what the Giants are doing out there, and it's insane to see a guy like Luis Gonzalez just succeed out there. Like it's not like they did something wrong to Luis Gonzalez. We watched him play. Like, he came up, they brought him up a bunch of times, and you watched him and you're like, this is not good. I don't want any of this. I was like, oh, he's gone, that's fine. And now all of a sudden he's really good. So yeah, I don't know if it's Balco is back in business up there or what's going on, but if it is Balco, I definitely want to trade for them.
White Sox Sal says replace the Sodfather with Billy Wires. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Billy's heartbroken now. He has a pool. Give him a bigger plot of grass to work on every week.
No, I mean, like, let's think about it this way, guys. Does that mean that there's going to be, like, if Billy took over,
yeah,
is there a pool in the 108? We can knock out those first couple sections or first couple rows. We get a little pool there. I'm good with this. I think we should do this.
I don't know. I worry about the condition with which certain people would wade into that pool. And yes, true. I am talking about Wally money.
That's true. A lot of hair gel in the pool. Then that's
a little too much.
It's definitely going to be a sticky situation, and hopefully, it's just hair gel.
Senor Sox says Alex Root is the Alex Jones of MLB rumors. I couldn't agree more, and I love it.
I learned everything from just listening to Steve-O just tell us all the QAnon bullshit over the past year.
Nothing had me dying harder. I kid you not, Alex. Treasy and I, for 4th of July weekend, we went away to Michigan, and I'm like, at the end of the night, I'm on my phone, and the different spaces that you guys kept starting up, I was dying laughing just looking at the titles. And I'm like, join one for a second. I'm like, I can't stay in here. This is
one of the most important questions. Where was Steve-O on January 6th, 2021? We don't know.
No one knows yet. Yeah, it's a good call.
It just reminded me, like, I was looking at those. We were cracking up, and it just reminded me of the campaign when they did the commercials against Marty Huggins. Is he a Taliban? Is he an Al Qaeda? All right.
Comments are exploding right now. I can't keep up with them.
So, Beef, I got a wild card that you are gonna love.
Oh,
you're going to really enjoy it. And the reason you're going to especially enjoy this is because he's currently on the 60-day IL. There's no team I want to trade with more than the Seattle Mariners. Yes. I just want Jerry Dipoto to be part of my life all the time. He's my favorite guy coming into the trade deadline. And they've got a little bit of a glut in the outfield, and I think we should trade for Mitch Haniger.
Didn't he hurt wrenches?
He had the same
No, that's from before. He's
balls.
he's got like
exactly.
Right now he's got a high ankle sprain, but he's been out most
of
the season. But they are slow rolling him back onto the team because there's not an open spot for him. I think we could go out and get him. And I'll tell you, first guy I'm going to offer in this deal that they can use currently on their roster. This isn't the whole deal. Obviously, we've got to give more than this. Yeah. But Sebi Zavala is the guy to go onto their roster because their backup catcher's terrible. I think it's like Luis Torrens right now because their other catchers hurt. So like they've got their backup bad. They could easily insert Sebi Zavala and get good at bats out of Sebi Zavala, get good games out of Sebi Zavala, and then we have to throw in some prospects to backfill this. I'm not sure who that ends up being. But I just like the idea of Mitch Haniger coming back and being a White Sox. I've been wanting this guy on the team for a while, and now he's broken enough that we might be able to afford him.
I want to look up. How old is Mitch Haniger? It feels like he's an old
46.
Man. 46. He's not that old. He's only 31. I thought he was a lot older than that. It's like, I've been hearing about Mitch Haniger trades. I love it, Trees. We need any outfielder, and he's I guess he's still an outfielder. We could use any outfielder with any power whatsoever.
Outfielder adjacent.
For us. He's an outfielder for us. He would be a White Sox
He would
outfielder.
be our best right fielder in years if we put him out there right now.
That's not hard.
No.
It's a low bar. It's certainly a low bar.
But this would be the perfect time to acquire him. His value is shot. You could just literally just do I wonder if Dipoto likes Gavin Sheets.
You can have a younger version.
It might be something, it might be something like that where you give him some guys that are like close to the majors. But I think you got to insert someone onto the roster that he could use right away. If he wants Joe Kelly, we could send Joe Kelly. We'll send Kendall Graveman back, whatever you want. But yeah, I was looking at it and I was like, this is the kind of move Dipoto would make because he's got Winker, Lewis, and Rodriguez all out in the outfield right now.
Yep.
His DH is filled with, I don't think it's filled well, but he likes it with Carlos Santana at DH and then Ty France at first. So the only other thing I heard in that situation, which I would love to see, is they're talking about moving Ty France to second base because he played there like in the minors for a bit.
Shit.
To make room for this scenario. But I think at the end of the day, there's some value in their outfielders, and Dipoto's going to try and make this team better at the deadline. And if he sees Mitch Haniger as a guy who he's not quite certain is going to come back full strength, he might move him. I always look forward to Seattle at the deadline. I just think they're
I'm surprised Dipoto hasn't done much of anything yet.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a move yet.
He should have 6 trades going at this point.
With how hot they've been.
I love it.
I was looking the Cespedes Family Barbecue, great account on Twitter to follow.
Yeah.
Like, they have a Dipoto tracker. I think Dipoto's made about like 125 trades as a GM, like involving at this point like a third of the league. It's like close to over 200 different players that he's been involved trading for and trading away. So
I love it.
More the merrier in that package. As long as you can get like 3 guys that we don't care about for Haniger, he's it.
The guy's he's absolutely a fantasy baseball player turned GM. Like he's doing the things like the things we're talking about right now, where we're coming up with all these ideas and we're just getting all over the place. Oh, what about this guy on this team? And Ramon Laureano, this and that. This is Dipoto's real mind. And he has control of a baseball team. It's lovely. I enjoy the hell out of it. Beef, who is your wild card?
Man, I'm so sad my wild card's not as fun as your guys because this is where I save for my reliever. And I just decided to pick a guy who's a boring reliever, old, on a team that's going absolutely nowhere. there's nothing really like special about this guy. He's just effective, and I put him in my Sox machine plan like every other year because I'm like the White Sox always are going to sign like 4 relievers and not guys you never heard of. They're usually guys you heard of, and that's Anthony Bass, who's a right-handed pitcher for the Marlins. He's effective against both-handedness. He's not really overpowering. He's just kind of good. He's 34 years old. He does have an option next year, so they have a team option for $2.5 million. It's just like the kind of guy they really need to fill in right now because they're dying for any sort of consistency out there. It feels like a Sox move that they could make.
Yeah, I looked at Miami for some pitching, and they actually, I mean, like they're loaded with pitching. That's their strength. So that could be a nice move.
Yeah. I was considering putting him in for my arm. Like, he would be a great reliever addition at this point. They probably need like 2 relievers. Like, that's actually something realistic that the Sox could get.
Yeah, and if they did it, I would be like, oh, that's good. That's a good addition to the team. I would like that. And it doesn't seem like it would be cost prohibitive. But I mean, like, you don't know what's going to happen to 34-year-old relievers the next year. You have no idea like how it's going to all turn out. And the Marlins, you know, they're not going to win their division. They're kind of far back in the wild card at this point. I think that's kind of over for them at this point.
And you're just taking a lottery ticket for Bass at this point, right? I mean, like,
I would think so.
It's not much. It's not much. All right. So, a question to you guys. I assume we all, like, we didn't know what each other was going to take. So there's probably some backup picks that you guys have. Do you want to just dump the lists of like some other guys that you had on the list, or maybe something that when you were looking through, you were like, "Oh, this is a weird thing or a weird stat or something." And Beef, I'll start with you. I'm sure you've got some stuff to go.
Yeah, sounds good. So, like Alex, I also had thought a little bit about David Peralta. I had the aforementioned Cole Calhoun, but I realized he's too old and too terrible, so I didn't want to put him in there. A couple guys that were actually interesting to me. Joe Jimenez from the Tigers. He's having a really nice year. He's been a bit inconsistent throughout his career. At one point, he was a closer. But what really interests me, Treasy, the walk rate is low, the strikeout rate's high. The body weight is also high, 277 pounds on a Joe Jimenez. He would immediately become the fattest guy on the White Sox in the bullpen. I mean, in the bullpen. No, him and Lance Lynn Lance Lynn's got to be 3 spins. But so to me, I was like, okay, there's a guy, and then a guy who is not vaccinated, but we're not going to hold that against him right now. And I kind of like him because he's mediocre enough, and he's in a spot where it's like, the Royals have no use for this guy. They're terrible. Hunter Dozier. I thought, bring Hunter Dozier here. He kind of can fake the corner outfields. He hits better than our guys that are mostly faking those. Hits better than the Gavin Sheets class of player. He also can play a little third. So when you have Moncada, go down for a little bit during the season, you got the backup there. Especially if you decide to use Jake Berger as a trade piece at some point in this. So I thought, just get another professional bat. I like the Jim Margulis thought of have more bats than spots. And so I thought, just get another bat that can play a couple of these positions and hope that that's like my hope you get hot for 2 months guy. And he's been playing in the ballpark that suppresses home runs. Maybe you'd get some more home runs out of him. So I kind of like Hunter Dozier.
I like that. That's an interesting one. It's and it should be. I would hope it would be cheap. Alex, who was on your list that didn't make the cut?
I had like some of the obvious guys, the Quintanas, the Matt Moores, but on the B-Flow trade, just like the most on-brand Rick Hahn move ever that could be made is for the washed utility guy, Whit Merrifield, also unvaccinated.
Yes.
But it would be the most Rick Hahn thing ever to get him when he's like over the hill, just struggling this year.
He's bad. Yeah, wait till he sucks, then bring him in. That's perfect.
One guy I looked at because and this is before I found out that they're actually putting Luis Robert on a rehab stint before telling us ever what was wrong with Luis Robert or what might still be wrong with Luis Robert. I was like, let me look around for some center fielders, and I was like, man, Leotis Taveras is having a nice year, and then I dug one level deeper, and I was like, he has like a 450 BABIP. It's like, maybe this isn't real.
Is that lucky?
And then I was like, trying to think of things that would make people really angry. I mean, the Javi Baez, I think, was my was my best version of that, but the other version of that I had was a package deal with the Nationals to get Cesar Hernandez and Steve Cishek. I figured like if we could combine those two,
There you go.
then people would be really mad. Maybe we
That's
even
right.
throw in Nelly Cruz, just to make it real weird. Because we need another DH guy,
Of course.
Put Nelly in the outfield when we get him,
Throw him in right field, just like that World Series.
Center field.
Sad part is Cishek probably would have been one of our better relievers this year.
Exactly.
I have a Cishek autograph back here that my Sox Summer got me, and I told my Sox Summer to go up to him and get him to sign Steve Cishek, fuck FIP, and I didn't know anything about Steve Cishek, but he's a very moral person, and he was like, I can't write a word like that on an autograph, so he wrote FIP sucks. Because that was better.
Still pretty good though.
It's still a great autograph. But yeah, so we're trading for him.
That's happening tomorrow, I think.
I mean, this was a tough exercise because you wanted to try and be realistic about these, and still have there's a balance of you want to be realistic, and you also want to give a player that people have heard of, not Sam Mole. So like it was difficult to try and thread the needle on what the Sox could actually get, and think about it in a way that like, okay, I could see this improving the team. Thank you, Greg,
exactly. Thanks,
for the drink.
Greg, for the drink. Appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, you're right. The exercise is tough, Treasy. And what's tougher about this whole trade deadline, in my personal opinion, is, and we've talked about it a little bit, is I'm not sure how much the market's going to materialize because you're not 100% sure. Like with the expanded playoffs, you have more teams potentially in. But what they're playing for is, and in some instances, you added a spot, but you also lessened one of the spots, right? So the 3 spot, the division winner spot, is less valuable than it was last year, right? But you added the 6th spot, so you got an additional spot there. So really what it boils down to is the top 2 spots in each league are super valuable. However, there's only 5 teams within reasonable striking distance of the 4 spots. I mean, like the division winners for those divisions where they're going to get the top 2 spots are mostly won, except for Braves and Mets. That's the one real race at this point right now. That's tight enough where you're like, okay, it could be an arms race between those teams.
So
it makes it kind of for a weird mark. I'm interested to see how it all shakes out. And it might just be like a rare occurrence that this, like the first year that this occurs, you have like that weird imbalance, and maybe it doesn't line up for a good deadline, but who knows? Maybe it still will.
All right. Well, cheers to Jer. Thank you for the drink.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, like beef. I'm looking for some fun stuff to happen, right? Like I want some things that'll be at least interesting to talk about. Like Syndergaard going back to the Mets would be amazing. Like that kind of. I want those kinds of stories at least if we're not going to have like a thrilling deadline. There's a lot of ways this deadline could go. It could if Juan Soto moves in the next couple days, and then it goes crazy because everyone knows their budget for trades. It could be awesome. If Juan Soto's the last guy to go, it's gonna suck. It's just gonna suck. And if teams
to a halt,
and if a bunch of teams are just like they want too much for Soto, I'm just gonna get the guy down the list, and they get Tyler Naquin, right? They get Cole Calhoun, they get David Peralta. Like none of those are exciting trades, right? And so it could just be a bunch of mediocre dudes moving to teams that have a need. Now, if you get Xander Bogaerts gets traded, Juan Soto gets traded, some other like Luis Castillo gets traded, Frankie Montas gets traded, it's a deadline. That's a great trade deadline.
Yeah, you say that now before Rick Hahn dumps the entire farm system on Josh Hader.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I would simultaneously hate and love that. Incredible.
The good thing is the whole farm system is nothing.
Basically true. Basically true.
Although I am counting on Colas and Montgomery to both play next year. I think at this point, that's about our extent of developing talent. You've been down there for 40 minutes. We need you in the major.
Colas a big boy too, man. He's thick and he's strong. Like
I like it.
I would love him in right field. I think he might frustrate us some nights, but some nights be glorious.
The bat's playing down in Double-A, so
Yeah, so far so good.
We'll wait and see. We will wait and see. Alex, man, it's been a pleasure. This was a lot of fun. I think we gotta have you back soon.
Absolutely.
This was really good, and we got to give you the My Sox summer treatment though, so that you have to kind of navigate around whatever the hell he's talking about. It's fun adventure.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't have a hard version of this because he didn't have to deal with the porn stories or whatever, you know.
Yeah, when all of a sudden he mistakes the player you're talking about for a guy who was in a porn in 1987, like that's tough to navigate. You gotta be on your toes. But all right, Alex, are we gonna see you this weekend up at the park?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. I got family dinner tomorrow for my birthday, but
happy birthday, my friend! Nice,
Happy birthday.
Beautiful.
Happy birthday!
Congrats.
All right, well then we will see you. We'll see you Saturday. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh, it's good to have Alex
Beef,
on, man. We've been wanting to have Alex on for a while, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a creative baseball mind, and I love that.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a lot of fun to talk these trades, and like, you know, like I was saying, it's tough to make a realistic trade with what the Sox have because, you know, one thing is like, I want them to go out and do something spectacular in the trade deadline, right? Because the team needs a jolt. But at the same time, the guys that you have to give up is like, these are our only guys that have any promise. Like
this is it. It's all in there.
The farm system gets horrible so fast, Beef. Like imagine if you trade Colson Montgomery.
Yeah.
You have like the 42nd best farm system in the league. Like it's like there's other minor league teams have better farm systems than you.
Vanderbilt's roster is better than your farm system all of a sudden.
We're getting into some very bad. Everyone in the SEC actually is better.
That's right.
Oh, Beef! It is time for some thank yous, man.
I love it.
Who are you thanking this week?
Man, my only thank you is all you fucking animals out there on White Sox Twitter fighting it out with each other on a weekly basis.
God.
You're what makes the 108 tourney go round. I love all of you. Please keep that up. Dreezy?
It was hilarious yesterday, Beef. All I heard in like our private chats was, "Hey, there's all this shit going on," and I was like at work, and I didn't have any Twitter open or anything, and then I went out to dinner after work, so I didn't even look at my phone. I had no idea, and I missed it all because today.
Don't worry. In a couple days, some other shit will pop up, and you'll be right there. You'll be able to see it.
I opened up Twitter today, man, and there's always Star Wars news, and it was the 33rd anniversary of Jason Takes Manhattan. So my feed was nice. I was enjoying it. So I don't know. I didn't get any of that, but you know, I'm sure there'll be another wave soon. So my thank you goes out to everybody who paid for My Sox summer to shave down to a mustache. Yes. Because I will tell you, I enjoy him having a mustache so much. I think it just like I wrote the blog about it, Beef. Like every little version of his mustache is a different person to me. Like even he let the hair down and then he tied it back. I was like, these are two very different people. Two very different human beings that I'm experiencing in the same game. And the green tiger stripe shorts did not hurt the effect.
I couldn't decide when I was looking at the blog that you wrote, which was absolutely hilarious, if you had photoshopped those in or if I was like, did he wear those on Sunday?
No.
Am I not remembering this?
He wore those. He was in like swim trunks the entire weekend because he kept wanting to get into your cold tub. So he was like,
that's right.
Always
He got in on
ready
Saturday. Yeah,
to get into the cold tub because he was running very hot this weekend. Very hot.
Bless him.
Well, all right, everyone. This was a reasonably short one, only around 95 minutes, but I think it was very fruitful, I'll say, and I enjoyed the hell out of this episode, and I hope everyone else did too. And we'll see you at the park this weekend. Hopefully, we beat the shit out of the Athletics for 3 games. Talk to you soon.